Hello everyone, my name is Danwon Wong, and today I made this board game about getting from one side of the board to the other before your opponent does. Now how you do that is by using walls with a coordinate grid system on this board. This board is a 8 by 10 grid and it has numbers on its sides. There's 80 blocks in all, so you use these cards with numbers on them to match the coordinates to place the walls. For example, there's a 3 and an 8. This 3 and the 8 can represent 3, 8, or 3, 8. And that's only for my side. Because you use a different set of numbers than me if you're playing as my opponent, that means these two numbers for you mean two entirely different things. 3, 8 and 3, 8. So that's 4 places in all these two cards represent. And that's a lot for like 2 cards. There are other cards in this game. For example, there's the Destroy card, which also uses a coordinate system. And then to destroy walls, you can trade cards with your opponent, which will basically mess up their plans because you completely renewed the cards that they have. You can add another person. You can knock someone back. You can freeze them. And then there's the wild card. The wild card has one number, meaning that the other number can be anything. Because this is a wild 9, one number is 9, and the other can be 9, 1, 9, 2, 9, 3, 9, 4, 9, 5, 9, 6, 9, 7, 9, 8, anything. But since there's not 9 on this side, the 9 can only represent one column. But say if it were a 1, the 1 can represent this row and this column, making it represent 17 blocks in total, which is a lot. And then the freeze is also helpful because imagine a situation where your opponent is literally 1 step away from victory and you are 2. You freeze them so they can't walk. You walk forward. Since they can't walk, they can't do whatever they like to like try to delay you, but let's say they place a wall here because that's all they have. Now you walk forward. You win. That's a freeze. And knockback is basically the same thing as freeze, since you can walk forward, right back to where you were if you were knocked back. Except if someone knocks you back and places a wall in front of you, in which case you would have to go the long way around. So that's what knockback is for. You destroy walls using the coordinates grid system, meaning you can't destroy a wall using 3, 8. You can't destroy a wall that's on 5, 6 using 3, 8. The wall has to be on 3, 8 for you to destroy it using 3, 8. And then adding a person is obviously helpful because who doesn't want an additional person? And there's also character cards. Everyone gets 1 character card no matter how many characters you have. And each character card has stats. The energy, the amount of cards you can get per turn, and the speed. The energy is a bit complicated because every single card has its own energy. So this card uses 1 energy. This card uses 3. And every turn you only get 5 energy to spend. So you can use 3, that would be 5 in total, and that would be all you get to do this turn if you had 5 energy. And then the amount of cards you draw. At the beginning of every game, the players each draw 10 cards. And then every turn, they each draw 2 cards, which is the amount of cards that they are told to draw. And then the speed is the amount of blocks you can walk per turn, which is obviously helpful. But these stats are not permanent because of the store. Using the store, which is a deck of 30 cards, you can change your stats. You can buy things like add 1 card per turn, or add 2 cards per turn, or you can buy things like steal someone else's cards, which is right here. How the store works is at the start of the game, you take 3 cards from the top of the pile, and then you place them next to the deck like so. These are the cards that are on sale. These cards are the things that you can buy using the energy here. Buying and arming these cards take 2 turns. You buy them in 1 turn and then arm them in the other. So that's how you use these. So these cost a lot, but they're worth it because who doesn't want to get an additional card per turn? If the store is filled with things that are too expensive for anyone to buy, then you can reset it by discarding everything that's on sale and then grabbing 3 new ones. Like this. And that's how the store works. That's the game basically, and it's a 6-player game. You can play with 2 or 4 people. It takes about an hour to play. It's fairly easy to learn, and I think it's pretty fun. So, thanks for watching. Okay, so I made this game because I really liked video games, and my mom didn't like me playing video games, so I decided to make my own game. At first, I went to a game design class about designing games, and then the first game I made ended up being a really bad failure because there was too much stuff on it and it was just really confusing near the end. And the second game I made with a classmate had the same mistake because we used way too much numbers. So this is technically the 3rd game I made so far, and I actually really like this one. I think it's a good idea because this is the only time I didn't try to use the copy someone else's thing, or at least use some of their factors in there, because this game is entirely original, or so I think, because I have not seen anything about getting from one side of the board to the other yet. So yeah. I thought of this game when the second game failed, and then everyone just kind of gave up on it, and then when I was in bed, I was just randomly thinking about why my game failed. So I thought up of this game, and then I made it, and then I had people test it out, and then it actually kind of worked. So now I'm happy that it worked.